That performance cliff is exactly what Ferrari must solve before Sunday's race begins. Hamilton starts 5th, but the gap to 4th is 2 full tenths. That margin separates him from the leading pack of McLarens and Mercedes. Strategy calls become harder when you begin that far back. Overtaking at Zandvoort is notoriously difficult on narrow sections. Every position lost in qualifying costs precious championship points. Hamilton knows this better than anyone in the paddock. His 50-point deficit to Antonelli leaves no room for error. Starting behind 4 faster cars compounds that pressure immediately. The new floor package was supposed to close this gap. Instead, it may have widened the split between teammates temporarily. Leclerc adapted quicker to the aero-mechanical balance changes. He extracted more from the soft compound during qualifying. Fred Vasseur praised Charles for putting everything together perfectly. Hamilton could not replicate that same level of confidence. Motorsport. Com noted his adaptation struggles during sprint qualifying coverage earlier, but whether that carried into main qualifying remains technically unconfirmed. No post-session engineering briefing has verified the exact cause yet. We are left connecting dots without a definitive map. Hamilton's calm quote suggests the team sees a fixable issue. He told Racing News 365 he feels optimistic about Sunday's prospects. 5th is not ideal, but it could be worse. He believes the right strategy can challenge the cars ahead. That belief hinges on execution being flawless under pressure. Rain threatened the track during the final Q3 runs. Hamilton ran that rain risk to secure his P5 grid slot. It was a calculated gamble that ultimately paid off. He stayed ahead of Verstappen's Red Bull by 4 tenths. Beating both Red Bulls keeps him in championship contention, but beating them isn't enough to catch Antonelli's pace. The real fight is against the 4 cars directly ahead. Closing that 3/10 and a third gap requires more than hope. It demands mechanical sympathy and strategic precision in equal measure. Ferrari brought 5 upgrades targeting increased downforce this weekend. The floor evolved directly from Barcelona's specification introduced earlier. Rear wing and beam wing revisions accompanied that change. These parts were meant to unlock the next development step. For Leclerc, they seemed to work as intended immediately. For Hamilton, the translation from upgrade to lap time stalled. That stall is the unresolved tension hanging over Maranello tonight. Can they find the missing balance before race start, or will Sunday become another exercise in damage limitation? The answer determines whether this season's title chase stays alive. That 3/10 deficit to Norris tells only part of the story. The full picture requires examining every sector time in detail. Hamilton's 1:11.494 was set on his final flying lap of Q3. Rain clouds were gathering over the North Sea coast. Track temperature began dropping as he crossed the line. Those conditions favored earlier runners in the session. Lando Norris benefited from optimal grip levels on his pole lap. George Russell followed just 1/100th behind in second place. Kimi Antonelli slotted third, only 33 thousandths off his teammate. Oscar Piastri completed the front row lockout for McLaren in 4th. 4 cars from 2 teams dominated the top positions completely. Ferrari found themselves best of the rest instead of fighting for pole. That represents a significant shift from preseason expectations. Hamilton entered this weekend as Ferrari's primary championship contender. He carried roughly 50 points of deficit into Zandvoort. A P5 qualifying result does not erase that mathematical gap, but it also doesn't expand it catastrophically either. Beating both Red Bulls matters strategically for Sunday's race. Max Verstappen could only manage 7th on the grid, his 1:11.618 trailed Hamilton by more than a tenth. That buffer provides some tactical breathing room early on, yet the real benchmark remains the quartet directly ahead. Can Ferrari match their race pace over long stints? Qualifying performance often correlates with Sunday competitiveness, but tire degradation patterns can reshape the hierarchy entirely. Hamilton acknowledged this nuance in his post-session comments. He expressed gratitude for securing 5th despite imperfections. The tone was measured rather than defeated or angry. This contrasts sharply with sprint qualifying frustration hours earlier. In that separate session, he qualified 7th overall. The car felt completely different after subtle setup adjustments. Free practice pace had suggested stronger potential initially. Then qualifying arrived and everything changed unexpectedly. Main qualifying showed partial recovery but not full resolution. The SF26 still lacked ultimate single-lap cohesion. 5 upgrade components were introduced specifically for Zandvoort: floor, diffuser, and beam wing revisions targeted downforce gains. Barcelona's floor specification served as the evolutionary baseline. These changes aim to unlock the next performance plateau. For Charles Leclerc, adaptation appeared seamless and immediate. He extracted maximum value from the soft compound tires. Fred Vasseur highlighted his teammates' excellent understanding publicly. Hamilton's journey toward that same comfort level continues. Com documented his aeromechanical balance struggles during sprint coverage. Whether those issues persisted into main qualifying lacks confirmation. No technical debrief has quantified the exact impact yet. We observe symptoms without a diagnosed root cause. 31-second gap to pole is measurable and concrete. The reason behind it remains partially obscured for now. That uncertainty defines Ferrari's current competitive position. They are fast enough to challenge but not dominate. Fast enough to stay relevant but not control outcomes. Hamilton understands this precarious positioning intimately. His optimism stems from belief in the team's adaptability. Right strategy and right execution could bridge the gap, but execution must be flawless against 4 faster qualifiers. One mistake compounds into multiple lost positions quickly. Zandvoort's narrow layout punishes errors severely and immediately. Overtaking opportunities exist but require perfect timing. Starting 5th places him in clean air, initially at least. That advantage fades once the leading pack settles into rhythm. Pit stop windows will determine whether he can leapfrog anyone. Strategy becomes the great equalizer when pure pace falls short. Ferrari strategists face immense pressure to deliver perfection. Their calls must anticipate McLaren and Mercedes' responses accurately. Any miscalculation surrenders track position irrecoverably here. Hamilton trusts his engineers to navigate these complexities. That trust was earned through years of collaboration previously. Now they must prove it again under upgraded specifications. The new floor promised progress but delivered mixed signals. Leclerc's confidence suggests the hardware itself works properly. Hamilton's relative struggle points towards setup or adaptation variables. Those variables are adjustable between sessions theoretically. Overnight analysis will focus intensely on resolving them. Data telemetry offers clues that driver feedback cannot provide alone. Engineers will cross-reference both sources exhaustively tonight. Tomorrow's warm-up session provides one final validation opportunity. If improvements materialize there, Sunday's outlook brightens considerably. If not, damage limitation becomes the realistic objective. Championship math tolerates neither complacency nor panic currently. 50 points is recoverable but requires consistent podiums. 5th place starts make that consistency harder to achieve. Every qualifying session carries amplified weight now. Hamilton knows the stakes better than most drivers alive. His calm demeanor masks intense internal calculation constantly. Gratitude for P5 coexists with hunger for more simultaneously. That duality defines elite competitors facing transitional periods. Upgrades demand patience even when results feel urgent. Adaptation curves rarely follow linear progression perfectly. Setbacks sometimes precede breakthroughs in development cycles. Zandvoort may represent such a moment for Hamilton. The struggle revealed today could inform tomorrow's solution. Or it could signal deeper integration challenges ahead. Only subsequent races will clarify which narrative emerges true. For now, the 1:11.494 stands as Saturday's definitive answer. It confirms competitiveness while exposing remaining gaps clearly. Closing those gaps defines Ferrari's mission going forward. This is where it gets serious. If Hamilton cannot fully unlock this accelerated SF26 floor evolution before the European season concludes, that 50-point championship deficit risks becoming mathematically insurmountable regardless of race strategy. The Zandvoort package was never intended as a minor update. Ferrari brought 5 distinct upgrades targeting maximum downforce generation specifically for this high-load circuit. The new floor represents a direct evolution of the specification first raced at Barcelona, Catalunya during Round 7. Engineers accelerated its development timeline to arrive here sooner than originally planned. Rear wing and beam wing revisions accompanied that fundamental floor change. These components work as an integrated aerodynamic system rather than isolated parts. Changing one element shifts the entire aeromechanical balance envelope. Drivers must recalibrate their sensory inputs to match new platform behaviors. Leclerc adapted to this recalibration almost immediately upon installation. His sprint qualifying performance demonstrated excellent soft compound tire understanding. Fred Vasseur publicly praised Charles for putting everything together seamlessly. That seamless integration is precisely what Hamilton has not yet achieved. Com documented his adaptation struggles during earlier sprint coverage. The report cited incomplete adjustment to aeromechanical balance changes introduced by the new floor. Whether those same adaptation challenges persisted into main qualifying remains technically unverified. No post-session engineering statement has confirmed the direct causal link. We are inferring continuity from adjacent sessions without definitive proof. What we do know is that the hardware itself appears functional. Leclerc's competitive lap times validate the upgrade's baseline potential. The issue seems localized to driver-car synchronization rather than component failure. That distinction matters enormously for Sunday's strategic calculus. Mechanical problems require factory intervention and extended downtime. Adaptation gaps can sometimes be bridged through setup refinement overnight. Engineers will analyze telemetry data searching for specific correlation mismatches. Brake migration points, throttle application curves, and steering load profiles all provide diagnostic clues. Small adjustments to ride height or differential settings might unlock missing confidence. But Zandvoort's unique banking and elevation changes complicate traditional setup approaches. What works in simulation does not always translate to tarmac reality. Hamilton's final Q3 lap was set under deteriorating track conditions. Rain risk forced him to commit fully, despite lingering discomfort. That commitment secured P5 but masked underlying balance questions. Clean air in early race stints may help rebuild sensory trust gradually. Tire temperature management becomes the bridge between old habits and new platform demands. The soft compound behaved extremely well according to Ferrari-focused outlet analysis. Leclerc exploited that characteristic effectively throughout qualifying segments. Hamilton's relative deficit suggests he could not access the same performance window. Accessing that window requires more than raw talent alone. It demands accumulated mileage and repetitive exposure to build neural pathways. Upgrades compress that learning timeline artificially and sometimes painfully. Veteran drivers often face steeper initial adaptation curves than younger teammates. Years of ingrained muscle memory must be consciously overwritten. That overwriting process rarely happens within a single weekend. Barcelona provided the first exposure to this floor philosophy months ago. Zandvoort's accelerated version adds another layer of complexity on top. Each track surface interacts differently with ground effect aerodynamics. Wind direction changes alter effective downforce levels corner by corner here. Drivers must process these variables while operating at limited adhesion. Any hesitation costs tenths that accumulate across sector boundaries. Hamilton's 0.231 second gap to pole reflects those accumulated micro-hesitations. Closing that gap requires transforming conscious adjustment into unconscious competence. That transformation defines the difference between contending and merely participating. Ferrari's championship hopes depend on accelerating this transformation urgently. Every race where adaptation lags represents points permanently surrendered. Strategy can compensate for pace deficits only up to a threshold. Beyond that threshold, even perfect execution yields diminishing returns. Hamilton understands this mathematical reality better than anyone. His optimistic tone masks acute awareness of closing windows. Gratitude for P5 coexists with recognition that gratitude alone wins nothing. The upgraded SF26 holds untapped potential waiting to be accessed. Unlocking it remains Ferrari's most critical technical priority tonight. Tomorrow's warm-up offers one final rehearsal before consequences solidify.